All right, guys, I had a busy day, but I was talking with Brendan Schaub, and I did a show with Teddy Atlas, both on YouTube. I suggest you go listen to those guys. We had the same topic, and the same topic had to do with Jon Jones and where's this comeback. Now, Anthony Smith was on here, and all we could do is put our little heads together like a knitting circle and start gossiping, but somewhere within that, there's some clues, so I got a couple on Jon Jones. Now, my stance, both with Brendan and with Teddy, was the same thing, which is, I'm open to the Jon Jones experiment. I know as human beings we don't get better with age, and I know as human beings we don't get better at something by not doing it. However, if that brings Jon Jones down like it would a normal human being, all that does is level the playing field because he's so much better than everybody else. I never thought Jon needed to go to 240. That was not physicality. That was a mentality. Jon told himself, I'm not big enough. Jon walks around about 225, 228 when he was cutting down to 205, and sometimes less. Sometimes as low as 217. So the point is, he was perfect for 205. Wasn't a huge stress for him. But Jon has been in the workout room. Brendan brought this up because they were teammates. Brendan said, man, I saw Jon get shark baited by nothing but top name heavyweights. And Brendan wouldn't say who it is, but he said Jon wore them all out. One after the next, Jon wore them all out. This was years ago. This was 217, 218 Jon Jones. That's what I see too. Jon is just too long. He's just too dynamic. And anybody that isn't fast enough to keep up with him is just going to be a target that's going to get picked apart. Jon saw something else, so we have to listen to Jon. Jon is, who better to assess Jones than Jones? He thought he needed to be bigger. Okay, fine. I'm up for it, the change in physiology, the dedication that it took, even if we got to wait for him, because waiting, all that will do is possibly hold Jon down like it would anybody else. He's still the best. Jon versus Stipe. That's what we're all hearing. You guys have heard that. I maintained for you when Jon was speaking up and Stipe was speaking up and they both went quiet, that's because they were told that fight's done. Now, generally the way that will work, hey guys, the fight's done. Don't you announce it on social media. We're going to do it on one of our platforms. And when fighters both are chirpy and then they're quiet, that's what that means. I also believe, with no evidence, I should mention, I have no evidence of any of this, but I believe the only thing delaying that announcement, because that would be perfect for International Fight Week, just by example, International Fight Week, which is historically speaking, Dana White's baby. He makes that card better than any other card. UFC 200, by example, fell on that weekend. Conor McGregor fight, by example, falls on that weekend. That's the big one. That would seem to me to satisfy that. There's other rumors out there that if Kamaru Usman's hand gets better, it's Kamaru versus Leon. There's a real distance rumor that if McGregor can be back, it's going to be McGregor versus Nate Diaz. I believe it could also be the heavyweights. Now, what's the delay? What belt? We know they're fighting for a belt. Which one? Is it going to be the interim, or are we going to take the belt off Francis, or Francis gives it back in time to make it an undisputed? That's what I think. With no evidence, but that's what I personally think. Now, Anthony made a statement. Anthony made a comment that Stipe Miocic, talking about himself, Stipe Miocic has never turned down an interview. He will come on my show 100% of the time that I ask him to, but he's ignored my last 3 requests. No reply, no response at all. Now, I use that to support my original thesis, which is the fight between Stipe and Jones is done. If that fight isn't done, by the way, what other fight would there be? What other fight would they possibly be going to fight? You're not going to ruin Tai Tuivasa. You can talk about who the best is all day. And they got a belt, and they got an octagon, and they got a set of rules under a determined weight class to figure that out. You can't argue the most popular. It's Tuivasa. But Tuivasa in the world of martial arts, which loves to do a belt system, and I'm not talking about a championship belt, I'm talking about a black belt, brown belt, blue belt. He's a purple belt. He's not even a brown belt, let alone a black belt. He's got a lot of room to grow. So when you already have that popularity, you don't want to do anything to hurt that, which means you don't want to go get him beat up. And secondly, Tuivasa's getting better. You think I'm teasing him saying he's a purple belt? He was a white belt at this point. Right, he's getting better. You get another 6-7 months under him, you're going to have a brown belt. You get a year, you get 3 fights under him, you're going to have a black belt that can go on and win the big gold belt. So I'm just saying, if you eliminate him, Derek Lewis looked like he got off course. Ciryl Gane doesn't have the sense that God gave Geese. He's going to continue to have his head in the sand wherever it's at. We're going to have to do all the work for Ciryl Gane. And frankly, we've done a pretty good job. We got the subbitch 2 title fights and to a main event status with no help from him. So you come back to Stipe and Jon. What does it mean that Stipe's laid low? I have the same experience with Stipe as Anthony. I have never had Stipe tell me no. Now, adversely, I haven't reached out to him in a while. And now that I know some no's are going around, maybe I won't. Maybe that would hurt my feelings. I like the fact that he's never said no. But what do you do? Why would he be quiet? What's he quiet for? I don't have a shot at Jon. Last time I sent Jon Jones a text, it was do business with Jon. It was going to come with a great big sum of money for a submission underground max. He sent me back an emoji of a giant middle finger. That's funny, by the way. Jon gave me a good laugh with that. But the point, I can't get a hold of Jon. So what Jon tells me to F off again, I can't get any clues from that. That is just what Jon would say to me. So I do think that's the fight. I think I've established a possible weekend. But I will also admit for you, if Conor can be back by International Fight Weekend, I will also admit that Leon versus Usman is business that is signed, and it's the only championship match that has been agreed to that doesn't have a date yet. So I think there's some moving parts here. And before you think, Chael, why are you trying to book July? Guys, July is tomorrow. It's 3 shows from now. I mean, July is just about here, which means this announcement is coming, which means who's it going to be? You put Conor in there, maybe you don't have a world title fight. That would work if it was Conor. But you're probably going to put a belt up. There's kind of going to be something for grabs. It is the biggest card of the year. Now, you guys decide that, and the numbers come up and speak if that turns out to be true, but it's intended to be. Something special is in the works. And if it is Stipe versus Jon, and if that is already agreed to, and that is why Stipe has been quiet, and that is why Jon hasn't been chirping, what is the delay of the announcement? And I think I am right on that one. Again, no evidence, but I'm pretty good at this. They don't know what to announce because they haven't yet decided what belt is going to be fought for.